Hello Overhouse, it's me again, but this time, welcome to Hollywood. I'm just in life, I'm very much a yes person. I tend to say yes to a lot of opportunities that come by. And a friend of mine called me up and said, listen, I saw a shop for sale in Valletta and I know you love restoring old things and this needed a lot of restoration. And I told her, listen, I can't afford a shop in Valletta, but I managed to find out who the owner was. He's a really lovely guy, him and his brother, they had inherited the shop. When I started telling them about what I wanted to do with it, I had this idea of bringing together a lot of different Maltese artists and craftspeople. They made me a really good deal. And luckily managed to borrow enough money from here and there and managed to buy the shop. I wanted to sit somewhere between being a souvenir shop and an art gallery. Sometimes art galleries can feel a bit intimidating. I want people to be able to come in and walk out with something small as a memento, but a bit more of a meaningful memento, so something with a story behind it. The shop has lots of history. It's the lateral room of a big house in Malta's capital, Valletta. But from 1814, it was the HMS Talavera. And the HMS Talavera was a pub which catered very much to the British servicemen. In fact, there's a brilliant photo of Ralph Palmer, except he wasn't Ralph Palmer, he was Rafael Palmier. In true Maltese fashion, knowing that we need to kind of get on with the Brits to do best in business, he dropped the I from his surname so that he could sound more British. And then, post-war, Lely, who everyone remembers in Valletta, Lely Talbash, ran the place for over 50 years. When I opened, one of the loveliest things has been all of the Valletta residents, past and present, coming in and telling me their stories. I mean, that's why I've got a little history corner about Hollywood, because it has so much history. The shopfront is one of Valletta's most iconic. It's been turned into illustrations, it's in stock photographs of Valletta. We very nearly lost the Hollywood sign because the entire frontage had a termite infestation. Unfortunately, we did lose the secondary sign. When the restorers were trying to remove it, the whole thing just came apart in their hands and the glass smashed. That then was an excuse for myself and Matt DeMarco, a genius on Maltese shop typography. We created a sign with my own wording, which says "Oggetti sbieħ," beautiful objects, but in the same style so that the facade would retain the same language. I'd wanted to work with a collective for a while. They're a brilliant team of architects. There was that interesting tug of war without the war, of them having brilliant ideas and then me needing to make them happen on my budget. But they gave me such a good launch pad to where to go that then everything else really just came naturally. At the beginning, we'd thought of using a porterazzo, for example, for the floor, but getting that done was so expensive. I luckily got access to a marble dump and I collected 45 square meters of marble pieces, and the result is this beautiful floor in the color scheme of the shop. The marble columns, that was in the design, there was this idea for plinths, but were very expensive to make. Luckily, a lot of little old Maltese housewives would be downsizing or selling their house or whatever, and they'd list them on Marketplace. And now they're brilliant for display and they also look beautiful. My architects were super patient with me because I would often be like, okay, I love this idea, but I'd love it if you could fit this piece of furniture and this piece of furniture and this piece of furniture into everything. This modular shelving was loosely based on this living room unit that I found in a house in Hammaroon. Then from the metal structure that holds the cabinets, they extrapolated this metal and marble and wood shelving that works really well in the shop. This used to be a bar, which extended all the way, and then I designed the marble top to kind of complete it, and also having it going outwards gave me a bit of surface area at the top. And funnily enough, it's in the position of where the bar used to be when this was the HMS Talavera. The ceiling is one of the most beautiful features that the shop had. The lights on the corners, those discs were just plain discs. And this was a funny discussion that I had with my architects, because they were like, yes, you should leave the ceiling as it is. And I'm like, but that disc is clearly meant to take a light. I can see it. I can see exactly which light's going to be there. You know, in the end they were like, listen, it's your place, so you do whatever you want. And I did whatever I wanted to do. And this light here, this beautiful light, I was actually doing a show at the Manuel Theatre, and this light was in a skip. I only opened a few weeks ago and the reaction's been incredible. But also, Valletta especially Valletta residents, found it a bit hard because Valletta's done so well that most old shops that used to cater to the residents' needs have closed down and have been opened up instead as bars, so residents are a bit tired of that. They're really happy that it's a shop that is a shop, not a bar, and that the whole idea behind this shop was to bring together artists whose work I love. So it's a bit of a mix of what would I like to have in my home versus if I was on holiday, what would I like to take back with me? What's so interesting is the reach that Everhouse has, because I had this very weird encounter last week where I was behind the counter and this lovely couple walked in and the woman double took when she saw me and she said, "Oh, you're Thomas Camilleri. I saw your Everhouse video." And she's from Malaysia, and it was just so surprising because it was like this crossover of my two projects. So she was watching that video but happened to walk into the shop completely unrelated. I mean, she had no idea what she was walking into. So Shireen, thank you very much. This one's for you. Part of what makes some of the objects in here so wonderful is that they are very unique. For example, like Lazarus tiles, sometimes I'll find a beautiful pattern and I'll manage to save a few, but this will be a pattern that's super popular. And people keep asking me, oh, let me know when they're back in stock. I'm probably never going to be back in stock again because, it depends on what I manage to find. And so the uniqueness of the objects also makes them quite special. These gold gilded letters by Matthew DeMarco, that's born of his Malta type project. And with Josie Bugelli, he created this beautiful set of 24 karat gold leaf gilded signs based on Maltese shop signs. It's actually quite tricky to decide what to have in the shop because the shop is not very big. I've just got this room and the cellar downstairs. What was so lovely was in the beginning when I had started telling artist friends of mine that I was doing this project, some of them were immediately like, "Oh my God, I love this, I'm on board." Like Seb Tantipullo, who everyone knows for his political cartoons and his very humorous oil paintings as well. He loved the idea and he spent a few days drawing and came up with a set exclusively for the shop. He drew a really fun lampuka which now lives in Ireland. He had a bowl of mussels that he drew and that now lives in Iceland. So that was lovely to see them finding new homes. Sometimes artists are so focused on their work that then they're kind of like, yeah, sure, just, present it like that in the shop. And I'm like, yes, but we need to elevate it slightly in the way it's presented because it's all about placement, the way you see something. This brilliant artist, Joanna Barthet, came to me with these notebooks of these furiously fast sketches that she'd created. We tore the pages out of the notebook, leaving the perforated tops, but the paper is suspended within the acrylic, so you can actually see that torn sheet from the notebook. It's a broad spectrum from print to then original hand-printed silver gelatin photography by Ed Muscata-Zopardi, which was super exciting to get in the shop because he, I think, is one of Malta's most brilliant street photographers and has an incredible eye, but just does it very quietly on the side and is very humble and never really shouts about what he does. Then once I was going through his photos and I was telling him, these are brilliant and I absolutely would love to have them in the shop. And he's like, yeah, take them. And I'm like, okay. Adrienne, this brilliant jewellery maker based in Gozo, contacted me and she makes really lovely items out of copper and brass. She's found a way to get prickly pear leaves, dry them out and stabilize them so that they won't rot or warp or shrink, and then actually incorporates them into earrings. The architect said, so you're going to have these bolts and we can 3D print caps to cover them. So I got all of the people who really work on the shop and we 3D scanned their heads and then used their heads as both caps. Martin the blacksmith, Keith the carpenter, my parents are here because they helped, loan the money for the shop, and Mark, my brother-in-law, who's also my electrician and plumber. Then the brilliant Kane Kali, he scanned my head and so then I used those for the price cards. So far this has been a brilliant project. I couldn't have wished for a better start and it's exactly what I imagined it would be. And it's interesting because I've always just said yes to opportunities that presented themselves. That's how I ended up spending 10 years in London working as an actor in musical theatre. And that's how I ended up coming back to Malta to work in marketing. But in the end, it's all a bit circular because, acting might have not worked out as a lifelong career, but I made it to Hollywood anyway.
Subscribe to the Everhouse channel by clicking on the logo to receive updates on our latest episodes.